Welcome to Feminism Today, everyone. I'm Sophia Johnson in New York. Canadian artist Michelle Vela reworks the themes of pop culture. From her studio in Toronto, Michelle paints subjects that celebrate nostalgic pop culture icons such as Audrey Hepburn, Frida Kahlo, and of course Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who spent a lifetime flourishing in the face of adversity before being appointed a Supreme Court justice, where she successfully fought against gender discrimination. Michelle's style has evolved, dropping the black outlines and flat surfaces for a more realistic style and giving her big eye portraits a riveting and fun new look. She joins us from her studio in Toronto. Michelle Vela, welcome to Feminism Today.
Lovely to be here, Sophia. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Instagram propelled the success of your wide, big eye portraits on the New York fashion scene in 2015. There, I read that you painted Diane von Furstenberg's portrait, and she found you on social media, ultimately bought it and added it to her collection. Can you tell us how you got started?
It was pretty exciting for me when I got a comment on my Instagram and a tweet from Diane von Furstenberg herself, saying that she loved my portrait of her and that she wanted to add it to her art collection, which was fantastic. And then at the same time, W Magazine had reached out to hire me for an It Girl luncheon in New York during Fashion Week, and actually they helped me arrange with Diane so that I can meet Diane and deliver the portrait in person. And it was a really exciting start to my career, which kind of blossomed from there into painting, being more from a fashion illustrator into a painter.
Very nice. Now, how would you describe the main themes of your art?
Well, I definitely like nostalgic pop culture from, I painted Audrey Hepburn a few times. A number of the times it's been commissioned. But a lot of, I guess, what I love is to make people smile, and nostalgia. And especially now, it's kind of funny because they talk about how nostalgia is kind of giving everybody a sense of, just hope or just comfort. And really what I say about my art, it's art that makes you smile. Because everybody, whenever I show it, I watch people's expressions as they're looking at it, and they're smiling, and then they even come up to me and say how happy it makes them feel.
Now, you hinted a little bit on this just a moment ago. Why do you focus on this theme of nostalgic pop culture in particular? There's so much to choose from. You're obviously really, really good at it, but why do you focus on it? And what do you think people are taking away from nostalgic pop culture in this moment that we find ourselves in?
Well, and like I was saying, is that, I know just started hearing it on the news, or, how nostalgia is really it's almost like a comfort food for people, watching old shows, old movies. Even for me growing up, it's like I loved the crooners, listening to Sinatra and Dean Martin, and to watching old movies. Like I have, about 100 movies that I own on streaming that I from the old Audrey Hepburn movies, Cary Grant, and all that. So I don't know. It's always been something that I was attracted to, and then it's kind of coming through my art, and it's, and some of the people that I've painted are alive today, like Elton John, who's a very popular portrait that I painted, to Lady Gaga. But I always want to make for me, like Elton John is still nostalgic, whereas and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, let's say, I will only paint people that I find a connection or an inspiration from, I couldn't, I always just wanted to paint somebody that will be uplifting in some way.
Let's talk a little bit more about wide, big eyes. 'Cause I think that this is fascinating. It has roots in other artistic works. Why do you portray people who you don't necessarily know in your work?
Um, well, kind of going back to that nostalgic piece, I, yeah, like it's it kind of, the eyes, I mean, the eyes just really came naturally and how big they got. When I started drawing and painting, I was really looking for my style. And, I was painting people in fashion
Mm,
in the beginning. But, and it was also easy to get photos to paint from, or,
yeah,
images, instead of, going out there and, I have a photography background and photographing people and such. So, but it was more of a draw to things that first it was, um, women in fashion and how they looked, or such. But the big eyes, so I would draw every day or paint every day, and I'd put all the artwork out and kind of look for what was standing out for me. And then one day I saw in a few pieces that the eyes just started naturally getting wider,
mm,
and it just like it was like my aha moment. And I looked at
mm.
it and said, "Oh my God, there it is. It's like
Yeah,
right in
yeah,
front of me." And then I went with it and kind of perfected it, as you might say. And then when I started painting on canvas, I decided to do the big, portraits. I've changed. I've done a few other different things with
yeah,
it, but mainly the big portraits. And again, back to the nostalgic icons and people that, not everybody, it's not for everybody. Portraits, like I gravitate towards portraits. When I was a photographer, I was portrait photographer. So
yeah,
I gravitate towards people. But for, for me, it was just more the fun of it. And, making, having some levity, and also, creating something that people can relate to. And somebody might love the I Love Lucy, to
yeah,
somebody loves the Audrey Hepburn or
yeah.
such. So it just, all depends.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. Gary Zukov, who's an author, I've read his work. You may also be familiar with his work, but he calls it the seat of the soul. The eyes sort of say
Of
so much, and
course.
it pulls you in. So it's really very compelling. Um, let's talk a little bit about some of the iconic women in your collection. Does your work explore, or did you deliberately set out to explore gender and gender rights and gender issues and the women who are selected? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I would say that, like I do love painting, whether it's women or men, that are inspiring, or they've done things for that are for the good. And but you know, definitely, whether it's a feminist thing, or just a, fundamental issues that they stand for. I Yeah, I like to paint people that stand for something that's for good. Like I Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I mean, that's just, a given. But also what, even in their work and what they represented. I mean, Betty White. I mean, she's in the background here. I just finished her
Yeah,
on the weekend. And, she's an animal lover, but she was like, one of the first women in show business to
yeah.
produce, and I think produce her own show. And she just, she didn't she didn't even think about it, between
Mhm.
her and Lucille Ball. I have Rosanna Dana down there,
Yeah, yeah,
but Gilda Radner, like all these, women that forged a way in, I know, in the entertainment industry, but also like Frida Kahlo, incredible artist. And she, her husband, he was like, because he was a man, he was a more famous artist, but now she's the famous artist.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I try not to get too political or because I do want the fun of it. But
Sure.
I painted a painting with Gloria Steinem and I her partner, the woman that she anyway, I can't remember her name at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and the power, and it's like it's all about like uh, people's rights and and all that. So yeah, I do like to paint people about that as well.
Very nice. I just love it. I'm sold. Now, I've read that you've changed jobs quite a bit before you settled on this phase of your professional career. How do you think your professional journey, the different experiences that you've had as a woman or as just a person, led you to this place? What is it about those experiences that ultimately led you to decide and settle on a career in the arts?
Well, yeah, when I was younger, I had different jobs in the software industry, from marketing and sales background to I worked for magazines in sales. And but I always had a side like business, like an independent business of my own. That was kind of the creative outlet. But I really learned a lot in the marketing and sales that really helped me in my business as an artist,
Hmm.
as well as I had for over 10 years, I had a graphic design business right before becoming an artist full time, five or in 2015.
Hmm.
So yeah, like I never thought, and being an artist or even in graphic design, like I never ever thought that, oh, I don't have as good a chance because I'm a woman. I just took it like it never occurred to me,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So I just would go after, what I wanted, and
yeah,
I'm not that aggressive, that's for sure. But
yeah, yeah,
I definitely I can look back in different jobs and whether I look too young and or I wouldn't be considered for a promotion
yeah,
but I never really thought because I was a woman.
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
but I guess it was just kind of how I was oblivious. But I do notice today sometimes, like as an artist, that some male artists. I mean, or even some female artists, but you can be more aggressive, I guess, and could get you further. But I yeah, I just find I'm not held back by it because I'm a woman. Actually, I
yeah,
think yeah. So but I really appreciate the jobs that I had that gave me kind of that education
sure.
in a business
Yeah, yeah,
from marketing. Like I can do all my own. It's almost too much. I'm almost the jack of all trades all the time.
yeah,
It's sometimes hard to hire outside people, whether to help, do different things from advertising campaigns and creative and all that. Because
yeah,
I've
yeah,
a little too much, like, oh, I want it like this,
yeah,
and
yeah.
such. But anyway, but it does help that I can, especially in the beginning, that I can, do everything from my graphics to marketing and sales.
Now, can you think of or talk or speak to any of the challenges that you've had along the way? What are some of the challenges in the art world for women?
Yeah,
Or
like I'm definitely an artist that represents myself. I haven't gone the gallery route. I'm in a few galleries, but not in a big way. And I'm not at any major galleries just because it's kind of hard to, first of all, give up the 50%. But because I started on Instagram and social media, it gave me like with and so many other artists an excellent outlet to and platform to sell my work. And doing art fairs and art shows, independent, from pop-ups. I really found it the best way for me to grow. Some challenges, in hiring the right people to work with. or getting hacked on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was a real challenge, and to figure out how to get out of that. And then, but also, with technology changing, social platforms. Oh, do I go on TikTok? Do I, you know, it's all, yeah, it's keeping up with everything and trying to do everything
Hmm.
is, so what I learned to do is, make sure I have my bookkeeper, my accountant, they take care of the things that would take up too much of my time.
Yeah,
Hire the people to do things that I, as much as I can do, source outside so
yeah.
that I can paint and create and do, like, my social media.
Right. Now you touched on it a lot, really, social media. How important has that been to your business as an entrepreneur?
Oh, I think almost like, yeah, probably the most important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when yeah, it's really important. I found advertising on social media has been really instrumental in growing my business and my print business. But now I'm selling like I never thought I would sell. Um, like original art online because it was quite challenging, and that's actually one of the challenges that I think it is for all artists, is selling artwork online, and especially original pieces and
Right.
the price of the original pieces. But I I have been selling like, more and more original art online, and it's incredible to me because when you see an original art piece in person, it it's much different. You get the colors, that just to be able to walk around it, see it where it shines, or if the different kinds of paint and how it looks is much different than a photo. So yeah, so it's pretty exciting that can happen, and I'm sure that it's only going to get better.
Yeah. Now, you've mentioned this early on. You said you don't really do the gallery route, but I know last year you participated in a couple of art fairs, one in the south of Spain. The art fair was, delayed because of the pandemic. But I wonder, I think the bigger question is, are we moving more towards this and this, sort of the idea of having this immersive virtual experience going to create more opportunities for women artists or underrepresented artists in this market?
Well, I think, I mean, the art fairs um, in general, I think I mean, they're already happening again. Like, I was supposed to be in New York Art Expo in 2020. It got canceled. And I could have done it this April, and now I might do it in 2023.
Hmm.
Just because I'm not sure about shipping, and anyway, I just thought I'll push it off. I am looking at doing more art fairs. And actually, I was just researching today some art fairs to do. But I also am looking at collaborations and different ways of showing my art. And, I have an agent in LA, and just talking about, unique opportunities
Yeah.
to collaborate, whether it's through hotels or um, retail venues, because there's so many unique ways. But to do virtual, I've done a few virtual shows per
Yeah.
se,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I haven't found I haven't found great success there. But in person, it's fun. It's also fun to be out there and talking to people, and it's great exposure. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that again, and continuing my marketing online.
Let's talk a little bit about why, sort of, I guess, just helping viewers understand a little bit more about the art landscape. You're an independent artist, but there's also the gallery route and there are the fairs. What's the difference? How does working as an independent artist differ from you engaging in the gallery or the museum sort of spaces?
Well, for one thing, you don't get to meet the people that buy your art. And
I
I
see.
love, it's so nice to see where your art is going, and the correspondence between you and the client, and then they show you, photos of their home, and the art placement, and Yeah, it's whereas I believe with a gallery, you won't know the client. And
Mhm.
so it kind of gives you a personal touch to do it
Yeah,
independently. And also, you're not giving up 50% of the the cost, because I mean, I know the art gallery, hey, it's fantastic what they do. They have the clientele. There are times that I think, oh, that would be great, but I'm not always sure if, you have to be the right fit with a gallery, and there's work in getting gallery representation and finding good galleries that represent you well. I
mhm,
had researched a bit for a while, but chose to stick with my. It just feels natural for me to represent myself, and it's part of the fun of the business,
yeah,
to do it too. For me, anyway. There's some artists that have no interest in doing the independent and the sales and marketing of their art,
right,
but I think it's because of my entrepreneurial background that it
sure,
just seems natural to me.
yeah. How has the pandemic changed the way we experience art?
I've had a great year last year,
Yeah,
and I'm so grateful, because being an artist, I didn't know what to expect at the beginning, but it turns out that people wanted to decorate their homes and add artwork because everybody was staying at home more, and all my suppliers are crazy busy,
yeah,
from framing to my printer, and my crate makers, like everybody is so busy. So
mm,
it's kind of it's been, with oh, I'm very fortunate that
yeah.
I'm part of that, where people are buying my work online, because
I
otherwise,
Yeah,
I didn't, I have been very careful, and haven't been showing yet in
yeah,
public that
yeah.
much. But yeah, so it's been fantastic.
One of the things I have observed in your collection is, yes, you include iconic men, iconic women, but there is a sense of diversity, right? And I wanted to talk a little bit about what diversity and representation looks like in contemporary art, but also what it should be. What should artists be aspiring towards? What are you aspiring towards in terms of representation?
I show represent a lot of diversity. Some may not. I don't know if everybody would agree, but it's, with the times, like I have a huge portrait in my office with, of MLK Jr., and it was happening in the time of George Floyd, which I painted, and I had a tremendous response. And then, and it was at that time, it came from within. Like I just painted like the George Floyd, let's say, in like, a few hours, which was
Mm,
just fast. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. So, it kind of, I did sell it for donations, and then, the MLK piece also came from that, because a part of me, like I said, I don't want to paint too much political, but it's a way of me speaking out,
yeah,
and
yeah.
saying what I believe in, and such. Um, but with women, I want to, paint all the women, or, I want to paint women that have made a difference, that
Mm,
it doesn't matter what color or what they are, or predicament. But if they've done something that, inspires me,
mm.
it's gives me one of the reasons I want to paint them too.
Right. It feels like almost as from an artistic perspective, it feels like you're almost making an offering to the public, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I definitely, I feel strongly about it, and like I don't want to. So there was a comment once I saw, with, when a Caucasian artist is painting a black person, let's say, George Floyd or whatever, they were commenting, discussing about, oh, well, I don't think Caucasian, we shouldn't be painting Black people. It's like, well, like I almost felt like, well, but I was like, I painted it because it made me feel something. And it was like my way of kind of speaking out against
Right.
what, the injustice of it all and all that. But I was just reading the comments. I didn't comment myself, but it kind of made me think and gave me pauses. Like when I thought of, how much diversity do I paint? Do I paint like, am I allowed? Is it, is it
Yeah.
right? I didn't, for a while there. But again, I just go back to painting, really who inspires me and whether they make me laugh, cry, or stand for something that really makes me think.
Yeah. But I wonder, I mean, that's an interesting point that you've raised in terms of your observed experiences or what you've observed across time. And I just wonder, I mean, in the art world, in maybe in your art community, I wonder how much people sort of um, are there any rules about how to engage, who to engage, who can paint what? I didn't realize that was something that was sort of going on. I feel like if it comes from the heart, it comes from the heart, right?
Right. And then again, I'm very supportive of, I think Black artists are having it's fantastic to see more Black artists in the spotlight, and who I admire, and close friends as well. And I would, yeah. And so part of me is like, I couldn't take away from that,
Yeah.
just me, but again, I would, I, it's, I think it's, yeah, it's just, but again, I'll just paint who I think means something to me. And then also a lot of, basically I'm painting mostly commissions anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes I don't have a chance
Yeah.
to decide on what I'm painting at the moment. But
Can you
I only take commissions that are that mean something in
Yeah,
some way.
of course. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Can you see your current art projects evolving into something else? You say that you do, a fair bit of commissions, but can you see your work evolving somehow into something else?
Um, Not at the moment. I mean, I've dabbled in clothing, and different kind of merchandise and things like that. But I've kind of come back from that and just focusing on the art and prints of it, or the fine art aspect. But as far as how I'm painting, I mean, I've done painted furniture. Actually, one piece I'm sitting on. So if they're in a way, if there's collaboration opportunities,
Yeah.
for yes, and maybe that's where the ideas will come.
Mhm.
But right now, it's more of a focus on painting and the portraits and such.
Finally, what does or what should advocacy and activism look like uh, for women in the contemporary art space?
Oh, oh, that's a hard question. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm not the expert to say. Um, well, for me, I can only talk from my perspective.
Yeah.
And for me, my little part in doing that is painting women that, you know, have gone, you know, beyond, broken the glass ceiling, so to speak, and done things that inspire me and other women, after them. And yeah, so that's, and it's not just women. I'll be painting men, and I'm painting Steve McQueen next for a commission. So
Nice.
he did something else for women.
Yeah, yeah. He got
So
us fancy clothes.
yeah, so but yeah, and it's kind of continuing the theme of yeah, painting people that not only make you smile but inspire, and uphold that, the possibility, anything's possible.
And that's it for our program today. Remember, you can follow me and the show on Instagram or Twitter. Thank you so much for watching Feminism Today on Free Speech TV. Join us again next week.